Hey everyone, I'm glad to be with you today. My name is Rutledge. I'm going to talk about my experience apparating a platform with InnerSource. There's some fancy words in the title there. Let me just go into a definition of what those things mean. First of all, to apparate. What is that? Apparate comes from the fantasy magical world. If you've seen Harry Potter movies, you may have seen where Dumbledore gives his arm to Harry, says, "Harry, take my arm," and then they appear somewhere else. That's the apparate, is like to appear as if by magic. And then InnerSource, here, according to the InnerSource Commons, InnerSource is taking the lessons learned from developing open source software and applying those to the way that companies develop software internally. So it's like open source, but inside, or inner source. So I'm going to tell a little bit on an experience that I had helping a platform to magically appear with InnerSource as a mechanism. First of all, just a little bit about me and my background. I started my career in application development at Microsoft on their large-scale consumer websites, Outlook and OneDrive websites. While I was there, I got involved in continuous delivery and architected the continuous deployment process for the OneDrive.com website. I took that with me to Nike, where I worked same on continuous deployment for the Nike.com family of websites. And working together on that, Nike.com is a family of over a dozen websites. Seeing how those sites collaborate got me interested in InnerSource and collaboration in general, which I worked on at Nike. And I now work on at WellSky, which is a health technology company. On the side, I'm passionate about InnerSource and collaboration, and so I have a role on the side as the director of the InnerSource Commons Foundation, which is a nonprofit foundation dedicated to the spread of InnerSource in the industry at large. So, what I want to talk about today is a story and lessons learned from my time at Nike, learning principles of InnerSource and collaboration while architecting a continuous deployment platform for the company. It all started innocently enough about 10 years ago now. The Nike.com family of websites was moving to the cloud, out of the data center and into the cloud. As I mentioned, it's not just one site, but over a dozen individual sites. And my job was designing a continuous deployment process for one of them. And as I looked at this, I noticed that all the other sites that would have to move to the cloud would have to essentially design the same thing that I was working on. And my bright idea was to say to management, let's get a team around working this. Let's build a continuous deployment platform that all of these, it can be built once and then all of these sites can use it. Now, I'm sure that this has never happened to any of you who are watching, but my request was denied. Maybe you've had that happen to you too with some idea you've pitched for some platform. I had that initial rejection, but I did get the guidance from management to utilize the guild system that Nike had set up at the time for sharing best practices. And this continuous deployment process aligned with the quality, health, and validation guild. When arriving there and talking with the other folks about what we were doing, we realized that this is something that we could do together. There were 4 sites at the time that were all designing their continuous deployment process. And the ask was, hey, all of us have time to go and build continuous deployment for our sites. Why don't we start one project and use our guild time to coordinate it? One project that we can use. And we did it. We met, we planned out which of us were going to build which parts of this continuous deployment platform. And in 3 months, we had something that all of us could use. It was great. I thought that we were done there at the time. But little did we know, others heard about what we had done. And when the next parts of Nike.com and eventually other parts of the company had to move their web projects to the cloud, they came knocking at our door wanting to be a part of the guild and part of using the continuous deployment pipeline. So more and more teams came on board. Our guild kept going, and each of them began to bring their unique requirements. Some of them were on different clouds or used different cloud objects. And so there were more and more contributions that came in to expand this continuous deployment platform. You see where the inner source is coming in. Everyone that needed something contributed their part, and our guild or community served as the stewards or shepherds of this shared project, guiding newcomers for where their particular code should go in. Eventually, this became my full-time job, was just managing all of the contributions that were coming in, and eventually too others were assigned to work with me. So sort of organically we ended up getting that team that I'd asked for. We got to that point because we had between 1 and 2 off-team contributions every single week that were coming to the continuous deployment platform, and so a team was just needed to maintain that. So even though there was an assigned team, we never forgot our community roots. And the first job of the team was always to support new folks that were onboarding or contributing to the platform rather than building out ourselves. And here are the keys that I think really made this work for us as the project grew. Number one, a modular architecture. This continuous deployment platform was always designed to where individual parts of it could be used independently from the others. Everything could be used together as a group and it would work, but if there was a part of the platform that didn't work for you, a first class feature was that you could substitute in your own pieces that were just for your project and use them in combination with the pieces that we maintained together. This helped people to get onto the platform in small ways. Once they were there, eventually they got drawn in to using more and more of the platform. As I said, our group always prioritized support of the community of contributors to the platform. Whatever we had to do, we always spent time supporting an outside contributor before working on the platform itself. Oh, this kind of support could look like meeting, understanding someone's use case, and designing out what would need to be contributed to the platform to meet their use case. As an example, when a new team came on that was using a new cloud object, AWS Lambda, we designed out what would need to be added to the platform to support that, and then they went ahead and built that. This support also included things like any manual testing that was needed, documentation, automated regression testing, versioning. All of these things that make it easier to contribute to and use the platform were done by the core team. All right. Another key was extensive outreach, social outreach. Spend the time ensuring that everyone at the company is involved with your platform that's working in the space. For me at Nike, that wasn't easy. What it looked like for me was finding out for each individual business unit, and there are thousands of engineers at Nike. So figuring out where each individual business unit published their plans and roadmaps, and I would go every quarter and look through all of these quarterly roadmaps, look for anyone that was running a website or moving a website to the cloud, and make sure that part of their plan was to work with us through reaching out to the product leaders. I remember once I was in a room in a particular business unit, the way that they published their roadmaps with putting sticky notes on the wall. And I walked along every wall to look for anything that mentioned web or continuous delivery, continuous deployment, and knew I had to talk with that product owner to get them involved in our project. So with this, things went up for us. Eventually, the project got so much gravity that people came looking for us, trying to find us. Others referred them to us. And in order to continue to scale, just doing it manually wouldn't go enough. Another key for us was to leverage metrics for 2 reasons. 1, to communicate success, and then 2, to find more partners. Around communicating success, a lot of platform projects are hard for management to wrap their head around. Why is this important? Why should I keep funding it? It's hard because the platform itself may not directly contribute to the products that the company sells to make money. It's an enabler of all those people. Getting metrics around how the platform enables end user products to be developed faster was key to us. for our example of continuous delivery platform, we could show estimates for everyone that onboarded about how much time they were saving in development time by using our platform. And those metrics became what we communicated to management about the success of our team. How fast are we accelerating others? Metrics were also used to find more partners. Just going around looking at walls of sticky notes in the end isn't going to scale. We were able to create automation that would scan our source control, looking for all active projects at the company that were websites that were not on our platform. And so those metrics helped us determine who kind of should be customers of our platform but aren't using us. And then we knew who to go ahead and talk to. So with this approach, metrics, working style, community, our platform grew and grew. It never had a top-down mandate to be the platform used at Nike, but de facto became that way. Because of our metrics and scanning of source control, we were able to verifiably get to the point where 88% of all commits at the company that went to a website were going to a website that was using our continuous deployment platform. All right, well, if you want to know more about these concepts, I do want to reference the InnerSource Commons, which supports and trains and teaches all about the practice of InnerSource. There's a website with videos, repeatable patterns where you can learn more. There's Slack, the InnerSource Commons sponsors, where you can chat with other InnerSource practitioners to learn more about InnerSource. Just a few takeaways I want to leave with you. I shared some of these before. We really want to emphasize it's important for a successful platform to build social relationships with people that will be using and contributing to your platform. This is not some, if you build it, they will come. You need to actively take responsibility for socializing and following up with people using, especially at the beginning. Modular architecture, use as much or as little as you like. And one sort of ethos that I want to leave is think of your platform like a startup company. It may be within a company, potentially a very large company, but that specific project needs to think of itself like a startup, and all the things that apply to a startup, the need to get customers, to make sales, and to be hungry apply. Here, customer means another team at the company, and a sale is them agreeing and spending the time to onboard to your platform. Like a startup, a platform at a company might have an initial angel investment, somebody that funds time for that platform to get started. But in the end, just like every startup, that angel investment is going to run out. And if there's not a customer base and enough sales and metaphorical revenue for this to be seen as a profitable business, it's not going to survive. This is where those metrics are so important. The revenue for a platform is developer time, specifically developer time saved. With those metrics, if you can show that the engineering time being put into the platform is in a numerical way less than the engineering time that's being saved by using the platform, that's a profitable platform business. And this goes around the last point. It's important in a platform, communicate the value of the platform. And again, engineering time saved is a result that can be communicated. Even better, if this platform enables financial business results to happen in the business lines of the software products that use the platform, communicate your value that way. Always communicate value of the platform to management in terms of the effect that it is having on those that use it. One anti-pattern I see all the time is communicating value of the platform based on features that the platform has. These features make no difference to management that's funding the platform if they're not being used to have an impact on the business lines of the company. So I have it here in italics. Build out of platform features is not value. Now, features might create end value, like making it easier to onboard, or use of the feature creates value, but the fact that the feature exists is not value. It always resides in how that is being used. And that's what your team has to communicate. It's hard to automate, it's manual, but it is so important to running a successful platform. Well, that's it. That's my story and some of the lessons learned. Obviously, there's a lot more that have happened, a lot more thoughts on the issue. I'd love to continue the conversation. You can reach out to me in email and also at the InnerSource Commons website on the Slack. I'm there all the time. I'd love to chat more. Thanks for the chance to share my story, and good luck to you in operating your platform with InnerSource. Thanks. Bye bye.